Today, COROS released the all-new Apex 4, and if you're wondering, no, you did not miss the Apex 3, and we'll get to why COROS decided to call it the Apex 4 in just a minute. Well, I've been testing the Apex 4 for a couple of weeks now, and today we're going to go over all the details and hopefully help you decide if the Apex 4 is the watch for you. Let's get to it. Well, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Steven. I do want to let you know that COROS sent the Apex 4 to me to test and review. They're not telling me anything to say at all. I'm going to give you my completely honest thoughts and opinions, just like always. Well, first we got to talk about the name, the Apex 4, why they decided to do that. Well, the Apex 2, both the 42 and the 46 millimeter version here, were released back in 2022. Then in the summer of 2023, the Pace 3 was released, and that was followed by the Pace Pro, which was released toward the end of 2024, and that is currently on my wife's wrist right now. Well, COROS thought that going from the Apex 2 to the Apex 3 may cause some confusion out there since there is a Pace 3. So COROS thought, why not continue down the number sequence and just go from the Pace 3 to the Apex 4? That's it. That's the only reason. You may also be wondering why there is no Pro model this time, as in the previous watch there was the Apex Pro and then the Apex 2 Pro. Well, COROS is going back to their roots basically with the release of the original Apex series watches. We had the 42 millimeter and then the 46 millimeter Apex watch. So COROS is releasing the Apex 4 in those two sizes. We have the 46 millimeter that I have here, and there's also going to be a 42 millimeter version. With the Apex 4, there is no difference in hardware between the 42 and the 46 millimeter version that I have here. The only differences are going to be to the battery life, band size, and the display size. In those prior models, there was a difference. The Apex 2 versus the Apex 2 Pro, there was some different hardware changes. That's not the case with the Apex 4. Hence, no Pro model. So if you are interested in the Apex 42 or the 46 like I have here, this review will work just for you because there's no changes except for some battery life and things, which I will be sure to point out to you. Well, with the nomenclature out of the way, let's talk about all the new things about the Apex 4. First off, it is really similar to the COROS Nomad that was released just not too long ago, except this really has a better battery, a little bit more durable, and a couple other features as well. The button layout on the Apex 4 is different from prior Apex watches, but it's identical to the COROS Nomad. On the top right, we have the digital dial, which I really like in this position because with prior watches like the Apex 2 Pro here, it was in the center. And sometimes when doing push-ups, your hand is really flexed like this. That tended to kind of push into the wrist and sometimes pause the activity, which was not cool. But with the new design on the Apex 4 with it up in the top, that has not happened and it's been much better. Then on the bottom right, we have the back or the lap button. And on the lower left side, we have the same action button that we saw on the COROS Nomad. Both the back lap button or the action button here can be customized. You can change those to be something like add a pin or switch to the maps, change view, lots of different options you can customize those for. The bezel on the Apex 4 is a grade 5 titanium alloy, which I think looks really sharp and will definitely help protect the watch from impacts. The case of the Apex 4 is a high-strength polymer or basically a plastic, and COROS went this direction instead of a stainless steel or a titanium back of the watch because they wanted to save some weight. And honestly, they found that it's been pretty darn durable on the Pace Pro or the Pace series watches, so not really a concern there for durability. However, just for note, this is the first Apex since the Apex original that has come out without a metal back. The glass on the Apex 4 is still sapphire glass, which is incredibly durable and scratch resistant, and this is one of the upgrades over, say, the COROS Nomad here, which had a hardened mineral glass. The screen size of the 46 millimeter watch here is 1.3 inches with 260 by 260 resolution, while the 42 millimeter watch has a screen size of 1.2 inches with 240 by 240 resolution. For the display on the Apex 4, COROS went with their 3rd generation MIP or memory in pixel touchscreen display, and I gotta say, I really like it, just like I did on the COROS Nomad. This 3rd gen MIP display, it's sharper, has better contrast, and it's easier to see in pretty much all situations when compared to the older Apex watches that had their other MIP displays. Now, the reason COROS went with the MIP display on the Apex 4 versus, say, the AMOLED like they had on the Pace Pro is it's actually better to view in different angles. So when you're looking at it from the side like this, I can see it really well. And it's also always on. It's always displaying, whereas on an AMOLED, it's completely black unless you flick your wrist up. So it kind of increases your visibility in other situations as well. Just like I said about the Nomad, I really like this display. It's bright, it's easy to see in the Colorado sun, and it's really nice. And here you can see what the new 3rd Gen MIP display looks like when compared to the Apex 2 Pro or the Pace 3. As you can see, the text is much sharper, the blacks are more black, and it's just overall a more crisp display in my opinion. And just for sizing reference, as this is now the 6th Apex series watch released, you can take a look and see what all of them look like for sizing, starting with the Apex 42, Apex 46mm, the Apex Pro, Apex 2, Apex 2 Pro, and now the Apex 46mm. Now, I do not have the Apex 4 42mm version. However, based on the measurements provided by COROS, it should be darn near identical in size to the Apex 2. My Apex 4 46mm version with this silicone provided band weighed in at 63 grams, and the 42mm version is said to weigh in at 56 grams with that same silicone band. Now, I do want to mention as well, though, that both of these will be available with a nylon band as well, which is pretty cool. I like the nylon bands. Now, that is another one of the differences between the 42 and the 46mm is the band size. On the 46mm like I have here, this is actually a 24mm quick release band. And it's compatible with the COROS Nomad because this is also a 24mm quick release band. So if you wanted, you could swap those out. And the 42mm version is actually a 22mm quick release band, which is compatible with some of the older COROS watches. The band on the Apex 4 is the same as on the Nomad, which they changed to this little push pin style right here. It's very simple to do. You just kind of put it through the little metal piece here and then push it through. It's clasped. It's pretty secure. I've not had any issues with it coming off ever, or on the Nomad. It's been great. I actually really like it. And just for reference, you can see what the Apex 4 46mm version looks like on my 16cm circumference wrist. And another thing that's really neat about the Apex 4, when you go to order it, you can actually customize and kind of choose which watch band you want it to come with, instead of having to have it automatically come with the silicone and then buy a nylon band later. If you want the nylon, you should be able to select that from the get-go. Inside the Apex 4 is COROS's fastest processor, the Ambic Apollo 510 processor, which is the same one from the COROS Nomad and the Pace Pro. The user experience is really very nice with that touchscreen. It's very smooth. There is no lag when switching between screens. It is just really nice. And you can really see the speed of this processor when you are in the map. Just take a look at this compared to the Apex 2 Pro. When scrolling through the maps, there is some lag. It takes time to load the next screen. With the Apex 4, hardly any lag whatsoever. It's very responsive. It's much, much nicer. Plus, not to mention, with this new MIP display, the 3rd Gen MIP display, I think it looks much better. The maps are much sharper in contrast. They look better and much easier to see. The maps on the Apex 4 also received a huge update that they first released with the COROS Nomad and now have pushed out to the Pace Pro via firmware. And that is they now have street names and points of interest on the maps, which is awesome. Now when you're out and about, you can zoom in, see the street or trail names, points of interest like parking lots or trailheads. And you can see the trails show up as like a dashed or dotted line on the map, whereas a road is like a solid line. It's very easy to see that. Things like water, highways, different colors. It's just so nice. And of course, just like on other versions of the watch, there is a back to start. You can also follow a GPX route, and you can also get turn-by-turn directions with a little cool feature that's new on the Apex 4. We'll talk about in just a second. One of the new uses of the action button on the Apex 4, just like on the Nomad, is you can actually use it now to switch between screens. So you can go from your activity display to your maps by pushing this button, which is very, very nice. Previously with COROS watches, if you did not have the map as one of the display pages, you had to hold the back button down, go to your control panel, find the map, and it was a little bit more cumbersome. Or if you want, there's even more ways to access your maps. Now you can swipe to the left or to the right on your touchscreen. It'll pull up the map automatically. I really like the button because sometimes with sweaty fingers, that touchscreen display does not work perfectly, and just pushing a button, it's easier. You know it's going to work. To download maps for your COROS Apex 4, go to the COROS app, click on your profile, then you have to actually click on the Apex 4, scroll down to the map manager. You can select your region, whether you want to download, a state, maybe you're going to go on a trip to Europe and you want to download, France or something like that. You can click on it, download it to your watch. That way, when you go out and about, you can have that specific map on the watch. You know where you're going. You can see the street names, points of interest, It's just really cool. Another new feature of the Apex 4 is the dual microphone with noise reduction, which you can use to do things like set voice pins, and it's the same dual mic setup that we saw on the COROS NOMAD. You can even customize that back lap button or the action button to add a pin so that when you hit it in an activity, it'll say, do you want to add a pin? Like pick maybe it's water, a hazard, or you can even add a voice pin. What's really neat about these pins is that they will automatically show up inside of the COROS app in the Explore tabs when you're looking around the map. So let's say you're on a trail, you find a water source that's great for you to filter water from. You can put a pin on the map called water, or if you do a voice pin and you mention water, the AI inside of the app is supposed to pick up that word water, add a water pin to the map. That way, when you're planning routes in the future, you can be like, oh, look, there's a water source there. I need to go there to filter water. And those voice pins are going to be automatically transcribed in the app so you can see what you said or hear it. You know, the transcription is not perfect. There has been some spelling errors and things like that, but it's pretty dang good. As for the audio quality of the dual mic with noise reduction setup, I think it's pretty darn good.
All right, walking up High Drive, testing the voice pin on the COROS Apex 4. 46 millimeter. There's a creek rushing beside me on my left, on that direction. See what the ambient noise sounds like. Perfect for filtering water.
Given all of that background noise and I could still hear myself very clearly, it's pretty darn good. Now, one thing I mentioned with the COROS Nomad about that same dual mic setup that I really wish the Nomad had was the ability to answer phone calls, which you cannot do on the Nomad. Well, with the Apex 4, now you can, thanks to the onboard built-in speaker right up here at the top of the watch. Now, a few things about this in order for it to work. You must obviously have your watch paired to your phone and be carrying your phone with you on your activity, because this does not have LTE. It's not going to be able to make phone calls by itself. It uses the phone for that. Also, keep in mind as well that currently you cannot make a phone call from the Apex 4. You can only answer calls. So if someone calls you, you can click the button to answer it. You can talk to them. They can hear you. But if you wanted to make a phone call, you can't push a button yet and be like, hey, call my wife. It's not going to do it. However, the audio quality of that microphone and the speaker together in a phone call is really good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Volume sounds good?
Yep, everything sounds good.
So can you hear the wind in the background at all, or does it sound just like you just hear me?
It sounds like a normal phone call to me.
My wife could hear me really, really well. She said that it sounded like I was just using my iPhone to call her, and she couldn't tell a difference at all. I could hear her through the speaker really well. Also, it sounded normal. So this is a great feature that I am really excited about, because there's been times where I've been in the mountains, had some gloves on, my wife would call, luckily with my Apple Watch, I could turn it and I could answer it. It was very nice. Didn't have to dig my phone out of my pocket. Now I can use the Apex 4. I don't have to go dig out my phone. I can easily, even with gloves on, push the button to answer the phone call, talk to my wife, see what the problem is or whatever she wants. And it's just really nice to have that connectivity, that availability to take a call on the fly. With that built-in speaker on the Apex 4, another really cool feature is you can now have audio alerts during an activity, whether that's, pace alerts, mile alerts, like distance alerts, and turn-by-turn navigation alerts as well.
Distance 1 mile, last lap, speed 3.4 miles per hour, heart rate 118.
And you can also save up to 5 locations of weather on the watch and see pretty dang good weather inside of your Apex 4 for up to 96 hours before your trip. As for GPS tracking with the Apex 4, they've kind of changed the names of their GPS satellites a little bit. Now we have the Max GPS mode, which is their dual frequency or dual band GPS setup. Next is the High GPS mode, which uses all satellites during that activity and checks them all. And finally, there is the Endurance GPS mode, which is still an all systems on GPS. However, the Apex 4 will actually identify the strongest satellite signal and intelligently select which one to use and turn the other ones off during an activity. That way it saves battery life. And the GPS accuracy with the Apex 4 is really pretty awesome. During this activity here, the Apex 4 was in Max GPS mode, so dual band frequency mode, and my Apple Watch Ultra 2 was in its highest dual frequency setting as well. And you can see that both GPS tracks look very accurate and clean. There's no crazy variances. The optical heart rate sensor on the Apex 4 is the same one from the COROS Nomad, which is a newer version of their heart rate sensor. It has bigger LEDs and bigger photo detectors, which is supposed to provide a more accurate heart rate reading. The Apex 4 also has an updated blood oxygen sensor, which COROS says is updated internally and is supposed to provide a much more accurate reading as well. And the Apex 4 also has the ECG sensor, the same one from the COROS NOMAD, which we'll talk a little bit about here in just a moment. As for that heart rate accuracy though, it seems to be incredibly accurate. In my testing with the COROS armband here, I had this paired to the COROS NOMAD, but it was using the armband sensor on my bicep, which is more accurate than a wrist-based sensor. The COROS Apex 4 appeared to be incredibly accurate. Just you can see that there's hardly any difference whatsoever. They basically look to be identical. So honestly, in my opinion, I think the Apex 4 is probably one of the most accurate wrist-based optical heart rate sensors on the market. With that ECG sensor we mentioned, the Apex 4 can measure your heart rate variability in a couple of different ways. The first being while you are sleeping, just wearing the watch. While you're sleeping, it uses that optical heart rate sensor to measure the blood flow through your wrist, and then it uses an algorithm to give you an HRV, heart rate variability reading. The other and really the more accurate way to get an HRV reading using the ECG is to do a wellness check. When you're doing the wellness check, you're wearing the watch, you take your other hand, have to touch the digital dial and the action button, and you create a closed circuit. The ECG then measures the electrical pulses from your heart and should give you a much more accurate HRV reading. There's also another new sensor on the Apex 4, and that is a water depth gauge. Now, unfortunately, I could not test this, but for all you folks that like to do open water activities or swimming, whatever it may be, you can now select an activity display to either show your current depth or your max depth. And of course, battery life on the Apex 4 is amazing for us ultra runners. In daily use, COROS claims you can get up to 22 days on the 46mm and up to 15 days on the 42mm version. And I'll say that I think that's pretty stinking accurate. I've had this watch now for a couple of weeks, using it for different activities. Let's see, I've done walking, hiking, running, lifting, all of that stuff, plus just wearing it daily, getting notifications on it, and I'm at 48%. And I think I charged it right when I got the watch, and I've had it for about 2 weeks now. As for the battery life inside of an activity, in max GPS mode, you can get up to 41 hours with the 46mm and up to 26 hours on the 42mm. In high GPS mode with the 46mm, you can get up to 53 hours, and with the 42mm, you can get up to 34 hours. In endurance GPS mode with the 46mm, you can get up to 65 hours, and with the 42mm, you can get up to 41 hours. So even in the max GPS mode, which again is the dual band frequency mode, you can get up to 41 hours on the 46mm watch, which is pretty darn awesome in my opinion. And honestly, that's only 2 hours less than what you get in the VERTIX 2S. Charging time is only about 1.5 hours, and it does charge with that really nice USB-C A2 adapter, which comes with the Apex when you purchase it. You will just need your own charging block to plug into the outlet and a USB-C cable. If you like to listen to music when you're out on your trail or mountain runs with the Apex 4, you can do so. You can pair your Bluetooth headphones, and there's 32 gigabytes of onboard storage to store your music, your GPS routes, your maps, things like that. And what's really nice about that onboard storage is now on the Apex 4 with the newest firmware, you can store up to 100 GPX routes, which is amazing. I was always finding myself with the previous versions, I think we could have like 15, 16 routes. I was always having to delete routes because I had created too many to use. I needed to have more space. So now with 100, that's pretty cool. Well, the Apex 4 is available to order today. The 42mm size is going to retail for $429 US, and the 46mm size is going to retail for $479 US. And on the screen, you can see what the prices will be in other markets as well. And those watches are going to be available in either a black or a white version like I have here. Well, I am really excited about the Apex 4. I honestly think it is the best watch in COROS's lineup currently. The new and much faster processor inside, the maps with the street names, points of interest, the voice pins, the audible alerts, and the amazing battery life and that sapphire glass on the watch. This is an incredible, really probably one of the best mountain trail ultra running watches out there. And if you have the Apex 2, the Apex 2 Pro, or one of the older COROS watches, or heck, even the COROS VERTIX 2, I think this is an outstanding upgrade that you should consider. Well, let me know below in the comments what feature you are most excited about with the Apex 4. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. I know I'm super excited about obviously the maps and that processor, but also the speaker, so I can answer phone calls on it. That's really cool. Well, maybe you want another COROS watch that is more geared toward, hiking, fishermen, mountain bikers, that kind of thing. Well, then definitely take a look at the full review of the COROS Nomad on your screen right over there on that side. But thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, all the comments, the liking the video. It's awesome. Thank you to COROS for sending the Apex 4 as well. I appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next one.